Oh, we're live. Hello, welcome. How are my new glasses? I haven't really figured out how to use them, to tell you the truth. They're a little bit, it's a 1.0 magnifying on the bottom, and the top is clear, because I only need them when I'm reading, but I can't seem to figure out. Okay, anyways, it's not your problem, it's my problem. Welcome to our weekly Moshiach shir. Chaim L'Bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nivro. Sorry for the change of schedule this week. Tuesday night was a big day in the Jewish and Hasidic calendar. It's Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the day the Rebbe returned to 770 after his heart attack on Shmini Atzeres. And so we had a big farbrengen, so we switched it till tonight. But God willing, we will back on schedule for next Tuesday night, normal schedule. So before we hop into the Sikha, I want to dedicate tonight's learning to a Refuah Shlema for Yosef HaKohen ben Sarah Rivka, Yosef Chai ben Esther, Abraham ben Genya, and Judith Bas Hadassah, and any other Yidden across the world who needs a Refuah Shlema. Refuah Shlema Moshiach now. Okay, this is Parshas Toldos. And without further ado, let's dive into the Sikha. Aleph. V'yadua. Shebakol Rosh Chodesh yesh einin klali. Shemoitef lakal ha'chodeshim. Like it's known that Rosh Chodesh Kislev, it is a general how should we say it's a general Rosh Chodesh. It's a general time more than so than other months. It's hot. In other words, Rosh Chodesh in general is always it's like a mini Yom Kippur. It's a time of renewal. It's a time of bringing the new Jewish month into reality. But specifically, the Rebbe says that Rosh Chodesh Kislev is even more special than other Rosh Chodeshes. So to explain what is so special about Rosh Chodesh Kislev, so we have the general concept of the importance of Rosh Chodesh, which we said already, and then we have the specific concept of the importance of Rosh Chodesh Kislev and what makes this month so special compared to the other Rosh Chodeshes. שבו מודגש יוסר גם בכלל זה in the Rosh Chodesh כדלקמן. ואוי והוא בעיקר. הקשר והשייכות להכנה לנקודה והעיקרי שבחיי כל אחד מישראל בכלל ישראל במשך כל הדורות. כל ימי חייך להווה ימוס המשיח. The Rebbe says, and furthermore, in the main thing that is connected and relevant, and to the main and most important point of the life of every single Jew throughout the continuation of all generations, is that all the days of your life exist to bring the days of Mashiach. That the Rebbe says, and this is emphasized and more appropriate to our generation specifically, as we have mentioned many times as of recent. And everything is done, and the only thing that is left is to Kabbalah Pnei Mashiach Tzikenu B'Fal Mamish. And we got into that in depth in last week's Sikha, where the Rebbe explained and explains and continues to explain that this is the most important thing. In other words, the whole purpose of all creation, it says that the end is wedged in the beginning, just like any businessman or athlete or anyone will tell you, the key to success is to have a goal, to start with your goal in mind, to know where you're going before you go. You don't just, kind of float around. You have to have a clear direction. And the whole direction that Hashem envisioned when he created the world is Mashiach, is redemption. That's the whole point of all of creation. And therefore, it's the main service of every single Jew throughout all the generations, that our main emphasis on everything we do should be to help God and to be his partner in bringing about the redemption, bring about Moshiach. And this is appropriate even more so in our generation, since we are the generation that Rebbe says who will welcome Moshiach. Base. And the general matter of Rosh Chodesh is emphasized through the name Rosh Chodesh. Chodesh, Malashon Chidush. Chodesh, which is the Hebrew word for month, has the same root as Chidush, which is the Hebrew word for a renewal, something that is renewed, if you will. Al Shem HaChidush the Moler HaLavana, and it's referring to the renewal of the birth, if you will, of the moon. And basically what happens, it says after the moon diminishes, we know throughout the month the moon waxes and wanes. The first half of the month it waxes, it gets bigger, and then in the middle of the month it starts to wane and go down again. And it diminishes all the way until it completely is in a state of non-existence, if you will, meaning you can't see it. It exists, but it's not visible to the physical eye. And then what happens on Rosh Chodesh, it begins the process of renewal once again. The waxing and waning cycle starts over once more. ונפקדס כי יפקוד מושבך שעל ידי החסרון דיפקד מושבך. Thanks, Dov. I joined the Alta Kaka Eyeglasses Club, only for reading. שעל ידי החסרון יפקד מושבך בדוגמס ההלם הכיסוי הלבנה. And this is we see this concept of renewal takes place every single Hebrew month, where the moon returns to its state of the beginning, where it gets bigger throughout the month into the 15th of the month, and then it starts its waning cycle until it gets to the end of the month where you can't see it at all. And then Rosh Chodesh begins that process of starting to go again, to get bigger again. And then when the moon is reborn, it is literally just a dot. You can't even see it. It's a point. And this point is indicative of its birth. Dugmas haroish v'klal shel kol netzias ha'adam, and we see that all the days of someone's life, and the moment they were born and they go out, so to speak, and they come into existence, and this is talking about the head, roish, which is an example of the head, which includes the whole existence of a person. So we have these two things. We have chodesh and we have roish. Chodesh, which is month, or as we said, it's the same root of chidush, which is renewal. And then we have roish, which means the head or the beginning. And just like the head of a person includes their whole existence, it's known that the root, the seat of the soul, of the neshama, is in the brain, and that the brain is indicative basically of a person's whole existence. Just like the divine energy spreads out from the Beis HaMikdash to the whole world, in the times of the exile 770 to the whole world. The same thing with our head. The Iker part of the Shekhinah, the Iker part of our soul is in our brain, and there it spreads out to the limbs. So Roish means head, which is indicative of not only the top, but the beginning of the flow of energy. And Chodesh is month, or Chidush, renewal. And it's known that the Yidden are compared to the moon. It says that the Jewish people are likened to the moon. Then it says in the moon, in the future to come, the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. And the unique thing that will bring forth in the world through the service of the Jewish people. Okay. And furthermore, the renewal of the Jewish people themselves, that through the service in the world, that will elevate to higher and higher levels, just like they descended below. Confusion is gala until it reaches its culmination, so to speak, in the true and complete redemption through Moshiach, our righteous Redeemer. Here's the more there is to say. That in Rosh Chodesh, in the renewal of the month, it's revealed in every single Jew the spark of Mashiach that is within us, the level of the Yechida. It's known that the soul of Mashiach is likened, it's called the Yechida Klalit, the general soul of all the Jewish people. The Gilui Zeh Puah HaChidush B'kol Mitzios B'kol Ininim Shena'asim Chedorim B'Mechinas HaYechida. And it's revealed and brings about the renewal, so to speak, and the existence of all the matters that are penetrated into all the levels of the Yechida. That's the main part of the soul that penetrates all the other part of the soul. And through this, it will be revealed in the coming of Mashiach, our righteous Redeemer, in the most simplest sense, in a physical body, soul and a body. And this is a king that will arise from the house of David. So basically like this, that there's 5 levels of everything in the world has a soul, has a nefesh, it keeps it alive. Even a rock has a divine life force within it, or wouldn't exist. Anything in this world that didn't have a divine spark within it would totally cease existence. So everything in the world has a divine spark. But a Jew, what makes a Jew distinct from anything or anyone else is that we have multiple levels of our soul. There's 5 levels of our soul. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. And it's beyond the scope of the class right now, but Nefesh is basically connected to our physical actions or behavior. The Ruach is connected to our emotions. The Neshama is connected to our intellect or our brain. The Chaya is connected to our spiritual level, which is higher than our earthly faculties, if you will, the basic faculties of sight, sound, touch, things like that. And then the Yechida is the part of our soul that is forever in a state of divikus, of connection to God. It can never be separated. So that Yechida, which is the essence of our soul, each Jew has one of those Yechidas inside. And that Yechida is a spark of the soul of Mashiach, who has the Yechida Klalit, the general soul of all the Jewish people. The Rebbe Rashab discusses it in the Hemshech Samik Vav, where he explains it's similar to like a string of pearls. Like every Jew is like a pearl, and every pearl has a different shape and has a different texture. They don't look the same, so to speak. And the string that runs through us all, that's the Yechida. And the general string, that's Mashiach. Mashiach is the one who connects us all. And our true essence, the true spark of Mashiach in our soul will be revealed when Mashiach is revealed in the days of Mashiach, which we are milliseconds away from. Gimel. And this matter is emphasized even more in Rosh Chodesh Kislev, from the matter that is specifically connected to the month of Kislev. Again, so we know that Rosh Chodesh is a renewal. It's when the moon gets renewed. And the Jewish people are likened to the moon. And when Mashiach comes, we will be renewed. In other words, our essence will be revealed. Right now, it's not. It's in a state of concealment. And that happens on every Rosh Chodesh. But the Rebbe says that Rosh Chodesh Kislev is special, more so than other beginnings of the month, or heads of the month. What's so special about Kislev? Shema Yisha Chodesh Kislev. Sheklal Beis Hatevius Kislev. So first of all, the word itself, Kislev, the Hebrew word for Kislev, is a combination of two words, if you will. Chaf Samech, which is case, and Lamed Vav, which is lev. So case, or kis, Mura al Helam Bekisui, Bekisa Halavana. Kis is the root of kisui, which means concealment or hiding. And that's referring to the fact of the moon being in a state of concealment. And then you have lev, which is gematria Lamed Vav, which is 36. And this is the same root of Ele, which is the Hebrew word for Aleph, Lamed, Hey. And Ele means to reveal, to show. And it's indicating the revealing of the moon. And this is the moon reveals itself as it gets further along the month. In other words, Kislev is the fusion of two complete opposites. The word Kislev is representative of a state of concealment and a state of revealing, a state of diminishing and a state of increasing. And we see this takes place in the cycle of the moon. So the moon, as we already mentioned, is at the beginning of the month in a state of diminishing. And then as the days of the month increase, we start having the moon start becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until it gets further and further revealed. And Kislev includes, in general, this whole concept of Rosh Chodesh, of renewal. As we said already, Kislev indicates and emphasizes this whole concept of Rosh Chodesh, of renewal, more so than any other month. Rosh Chodesh stam hu ba'ofen dekisei ra kamo Rosh Hashanah shehaperu shoigam bekisei ba'alef meloshen kis alef she'alef mora rak al hatzchila agilui masha'en came bekislev kislev mudgash gam ba'alef mahashlemas v'gilui kol prati hamid she'hen lamed vav. So, and generally speaking, lost my place. Regular Rosh Chodesh. It's in a way of the kisei, which is in a state of concealment, if you will. And it explains also the kisei aleph, melashon kis aleph. Aleph is indicative also on this concept of revealing. But in Kislev, we have the emphasis of revealing in a complete way, because it's indicative of not just, in other words, every Rosh Chodesh is a renewal. It's a renewal where we start the moon from nothing and builds up again. So we have this dichotomy, if you will, of concealment and revealing. But in Kislev, the revealing is not just a little bit. It's a complete revealing, because Lamed Vav, or 36, is indicative of the revealing of all the emotional attributes. We have 6 emotional attributes. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, which are the basic emotions, if you will. And Lamed Vav is 6 times 6. That's each one of the emotions being revealed in a full capacity. So Kislev emphasizes even more the state of revealing and concealing than other months. Says, and this represents the redemption, or Moshiach, more so than any other month. Because every other month, as we just said, has this dichotomy of concealing and revealing. But Rosh Chodesh, when it's concealed, but it's revealing, it is in a state of completion in Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Because again, Lev, Lamed Vav, is the same gematria of Ele, which is 36, which is revealing all of the emotional attributes. So it's really showing this concept of revealing and concealing in a complete way, more so than any other month. By the way, the Sikha is also another bigazim, as we say, another very, very powerful Sikha. All these Sikhas throughout the continuation of the Nun Alf Nun Beis Sikhas, the most recent important teachings we have from the Rebbe. But the Nun Bases, which we are in now, which took place in 1992 at the time, are when it gets to its heightened state, because this is we're reaching the final words we have from the Rebbe to date. And the Sikhas starting out from Bereshis, going all the way up through Toldos, they're just one after the other. It's tremendous what's inside of them. As we learned last week in Parshas Chayei Sarah, so many deep revelations over there, and we're going to take that to a next level with God's help tonight. Okay, so this matter of redemption is emphasized, and also not only in the fact that Kislev, more so than other months, represents a state of revealing and concealing in a complete way, but not only that, but the month of Kislev is packed. It's jam-packed with festival days, with days that are in and of themselves represent a tremendous state of divine revelation, if you will. The Choisma, Yud Yom Tov, Hanukkah. So first of all, we have the festival days of Hanukkah. We know that Hanukkah takes place in the month of Kislev. Al Shem Hanukkahs HaMizbeach Umikdash Bizman Beis Sheni Necha Mechodesh. And this is also indicative of Hanukkah, which also is the root of Hanukkahs HaMizbeach, which is basically the Hanukkahs HaMizbeach is the inauguration of the Mizbeach, of the altar in the Beis HaMikdash. And it's indicative of also the inauguration that will take place in the third temple with God's help. It should happen immediately. Still trying to figure out how to do these classes. They're bifocals. It's really annoying. Anyways. Okay, so the third temple that will be inaugurated in Yemot HaMashiach. Not only that, we know that Hanukkah is 8 days, and 8 is a much more powerful number than 7. 7, of course, being the number of days in Pesach and Sukkot. But 8, which is in Hanukkah, the Mispar Shmoinas, Neros and Nuchad Gabi Shiva'ah HaNerosh B'Menorah B'Mikdash Shabo Ira HaNes Hashem. That we know that there were 7 lights or branches, if you will, in the Hanukkahs, in the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash. But the Hanukkah menorah has 8, and it's indicative of 8, representing the 8 days and the 8 lights, which are connected to the miracle of oil that lasted for 8 days. And the number 8 in and of itself is connected to Mashiach, as opposed to the number 7, which is connected to the normal or the world as it exists in its nature, in its concealed state of godliness. The number 8 is indicative of above the nature, which is indicative of a state of godliness that is revealed above the normal channels of creation. And that is connected to Mashiach, when the energy of God will be revealed in the entire world. Okay. But we also, of course, have Rosh Hashanah of Chassidus, which is Yud Tes Kislev, the 19th of Kislev, when the Alter Rebbe was released from prison, and when he began the Ufarat, the really spreading out of Chassidus in a way that was never disseminated prior to that. That is called the Chag Ge'ula Admor HaEmsoi B'Yud Kislev. We also have the redemption of the Mittler Rebbe, the second Rebbe, on the 10th of Kislev. He was also in prison for spreading Chassidus, connected to the Middle Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe connected to spreading out the oil of the Torah, which is Chassidus, which is the deepest dimension of the Torah, the Panemius, the innermost aspect of the Torah. The Torah, just like anything else in existence, has Chitzoni and Panemi. Just like we have Chitzoni, which is our outer being, which is our physical being and our flesh, and then we have Panemi, which is our soul, which is inwards. The Torah has its outer body, if you will, which is the halachas, which is the Gemara, which is basically the laws, which teach us what to do and what not to do. And then we have the inner dimension of the Torah, which is the Chassidus, which in the Kabbalah, which the Chassidus is even deeper, which gives us the true glimpse into the essence of God and His will and the whole purpose of creation, and the details of how everything exists and how everything is connected as one to God. Bechinas Hashem and Torah, and this is the oil of the Torah, Chassidus. It's also called the Yechida of the Torah. Just like we said, the Yechida is the quintessential point of the Jewish soul. It's also the Yechida of the Torah is the Chassidus of the Torah. Quintessential. That's what I was looking for. Sha'al yedei hafutz as chutza asimar darmacha Moshiach adav ne'mar mitzatzi davar abdi mishemen kachil mishchasa. And it's known that when the Baal Shem Tov ran into Moshiach in the upper chambers of the upper worlds, and he said, "When are you going to come?" He said, "When your well springs are spread out," meaning the deepest dimension of the Torah, the Chassidus, are spread out to the four corners of the world. That is why the Rebbe continued from the Frierdiker Rebbe, but at a whole higher level. That's why there's over 6,000 shluchim throughout the world to take the inner dimensions of the Torah and spread them across the whole world. That's the job of Mashiach. The Hoisif, in addition to the Shekavar, Niskabel, Minetafeshe, Chafutz, Yisrael, Shechodesh, Kislev, Nikra, Chodesh, Hagula. And we see this also in the spreading out of the Yidden. And this is emphasized in the month of Kislev. The month of Kislev is called Chodesh HaGeula, a month of redemption. The Rebbe refers to two specific months of redemption. Well, actually, several. He says the month of Nisan is a Chodesh of redemption, is a month of redemption. The month of Tammuz, the Rebbe has told us, is a Chodesh HaGeula, a month of redemption. And the month of Kislev, the Rebbe refers to as a month of redemption. Rosh Chodesh Kislev. And this begins in Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Rosh Chodesh HaGeula, the beginning of the month of the redemption. Noisef al hashaychos v'klalis the Geula. The Chiddush Lebanah called Rosh Chodesh. In addition to the relevance in general of the redemption, as it's connected to the renewal of the moon every single Rosh Chodesh, we know that is an auspicious time, if you will, for that is connected to Mashiach, that is connected to the Geula, to the redemption. And as it says, that the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon in the future to come with the coming of Mashiach. Dalet. Yes, the Chayser, V'Yor, HaShayches, the Geula Sam, Shal Yisrael, the Chiddush Lebanah. The Chora Ein Muvan. Oh, so now we've got a question. It says we have to understand the relevance to the redemption of the Jewish people and how it's connected to the renewal of the moon. It says when Mashiach, it says that when Mashiach comes, the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. And the Rebbe says, seemingly this does not make sense to say such a thing. Only the Rebbe could say such a thing, that this doesn't make sense. Why doesn't it make sense? Mitzinu v'hadreishi chazal sheshleim osayim shel bnei Yisrael b'zman hadabin v'shleimahu al derek b'dugmas milui v'hashleimut levana. This is a very important part to take deep into our noodles over here, because this is going to set up the rest of the Sikha and the main point of the Sikha. And that says, according to Chazal, according to our sages, the Jewish people reached their ultimate state of perfection, their ultimate state of completion, if you will, in the times of David v'Shlomo, David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech. That's when we reached our total state of perfection. And that is indicative of a state when the moon was at its fullest. Okay, stay with me here. Levana b'roshayim shel Nisan, m'techilas laha'ir, kol shehi holachas ma'ira ad tas vav yamim, v'diskoi shelo nitmalal. One second. And we was talking about the original commandment to bless the moon was in the month of Nisan, and that's began the cycle, so to speak, of the moon getting to the point where it begins, as we said in Rosh Chodesh, where you can't see it. It's a speck, it's a nakuda, it's a point. And when did the moon reach its fullest? If you look according to the Hebrew calendar, the day when the moon is at its state of fullness is the 15th of the month, exactly halfway through the month. Because again, in Rosh Chodesh, the moon is in a state of rebirth. And then for the first 15 days of the month, that little, you can look outside right now. It's now, we just entered the fourth day of Kislev, and it's a little sliver. On Rosh Chodesh Kislev, you couldn't see it. And on the first day, it's a drop. In the second, and the sliver's growing. And every day, if you watch the moon, even with your naked eye, you will see it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when it gets to the 15th of the month, it's complete full. It's the discus, as it's called in Hebrew, the circumference, if you will, of the moon is perfect. It's completely full. And that takes place on the 15th of the month. Kach Yisrael Tesvav Dor Min Abraham Ad Shloimei. Abraham Tichel Le'ir Kivan Sheva Shloimei Nismala. The discourse shel Levana Shna'mar v'yashev Shloimei Ad Kisei Hashem L'melech L'melech Kima Sicha B'Shloimei Sav. So the Rebbe says, brings another proof that in the days of David and Shlomo is when the Jewish people reached their ultimate fulfillment or their completion. The first Jew was Avraham Avinu, and from Abraham to Shlomo HaMelech was 15 generations. So Abraham began like the moon. That's when the moon was like Rosh Chodesh. Abraham represented the Rosh Chodesh of the Jewish people. He began the process of starting to shine. The Jewish people are like the moon. We take the energy from God, which is likened to the sun. He's not the sun, but it's the giver energy, the mashpia energy. We're the makabel or the receiver energy, just like the moon receives its light from the sun. And so that process began with Abraham Avinu, the first Jew. And Abraham Avinu began this process of growing, from generation to generation, until he got to Shlomo HaMelech, which was the 15th generation from Abraham. And just like the moon is considered shlemot or complete on the 15th of the month, the Jewish people were considered shlemot or complete in the 15th generation from Abraham, which is the generation of Shlomo. And that's why it says that the King Shlomo sat on the chair of God, on the Kisei HaMelech, on literally the throne of God. And his rulership was in a state of completion. It's known, King Shlomo, within the times of King Shlomo, Shalom is for Shalom. Shlomo Shalom, peace. We're at the ultimate state of peace. People from Goyish kings and leaders traveled. It wasn't like today, you don't hop on a plane. They traveled hundreds, thousands of miles around the world to praise King Shlomo, to bring him gifts, to bring him offerings. He just chilled out. He was sitting on his chair, and the whole world came to him. In fact, there's a beautiful Gemara, I can't remember what Masech it's in, where it talks about how King Shlomo's, his kisei, his throne, was a whole complex system of levers and pulleys, and it was like very highly advanced for the time, and no one else could sit on his throne. If any other leader or ruler tried to sit on his throne, it would eject them. It was like, like James Bond, you sit in the car and he presses the button, and they fly out. You couldn't sit on Shlomo HaMelech's throne. It was impossible. It was set up only for him. It was like the fingerprint that we have now, the stupid phones you look at, because they need to redo the facial recognition with a mask on, because now the phone doesn't recognize any of us. So, it was that kind of thing, right? Where Shlomo would sit down, and the chair, the throne, knew it was only for King Shlomo. Anyone else who sat, ejected. And also his crown. It literally said that King Shlomo was born. I'm not making this up. This is in the Gemara. That there was grooves inside King Shlomo's head, and his crown had little lines that matched right into the indentations in his skull. It sounds bizarre, and therefore when his crown, his keter, went down upon his head, it totally lined up with the grooves. Yeah, retinal skin lined up with the grooves and sat perfectly on his head. And if anyone else should try to put it on the head, it wouldn't fit because they didn't have the grooves in their head. The King Shlomo was the epitome of peace and fulfillment. The Jewish people were at an ultimate state of peace, of fulfillment, of completion. And as we know that the true and complete redemption will take place through Moshiach, our righteous Redeemer, right? That he will come from the house of David and the seed of Shlomo. Excuse me. And he will bring the Jewish people to their ultimate state of completion. It says that Melech HaMashiach will bring the Jewish people to their ultimate state of completion. We just learned that to date, the ultimate state of completion for the Jewish people has been on the 15th generation, which is King Shlomo. Just like the moon on its 15th, in its ultimate state of completion, ultimate state of fulfillment. And the Jewish people will once again reach that ultimate state of completion when Mashiach brings us to the redemption. And we know when is the moon at its ultimate shlemut, its ultimate state of completion. Anyone? Bueller? Is on the 15th of the month, when the moon is full. Not in the birth of the moon on Rosh Chodesh. שזה עתה נתחדש אור. לבנה באופן של נקודה בלבד. In the beginning of the month, when the moon is renewed, it's not complete. It's far from complete. It's a dot. You can't even see it. That it's not compared at all to the state of completion. Good job, Dov. It's not at all compared to the state of completion. When the moon is at its state of completion, which is the 15th, you can't compare it. When the moon is reborn at the beginning of the month, on the first of the month, it's not there. You can't see it. On the 15th of the month, there's nothing to compare. You have no moon to a full moon. And how much more so when we see that it says in the future to come, the moon will be renewed, or the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. Before it was diminished. We know that God, it says in Parshas Bereshis, God created two great lights, the sun and the moon, and the moon was kvetching, basically saying, how can it be? How can you have two lights? How do we rule equally? God said, okay, I'm going to shrink you. I'm going to make you much smaller. But when Mashiach comes, we know that the moon and the sun will be equal once again. Once again, this is showing how that in the future to come, the moon will be at its state of completion, full, even bigger than it is now, just like the sun. In addition to the we see even more so this question is emphasized that it's related to Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Kislev, ki la mora shel shleimos hageula. We already said that Kislev is indicative of the completion of revealing, just like 36. Yeshua, how you doing, brother? Been a long time. Moshiach now. Good to see you. Well, good to see you virtually through the computer. Welcome to our Moshiach shir. So how much more? So when it's talking about Rosh Chodesh Kislev, because we already said that Rosh Chodesh Kislev is indicative of concealment and revealing, and is more so than other months. Because Lev is Gematria 36, which is indicative of a completion of the emotional attributes, a full revealing, if you will. It's as if someone reveals their true whole being to themselves, to someone else. Again, indicative of this concept of fulfillment, of opening, of a state of completion, not connected to the rebirth. When in the moment of rebirth, when there's nothing there, when it's a point. An example we see like in the true and complete redemption through our righteous Redeemer, when it will be born and renewed, the moon. So hold on a second. Here's the question. If it didn't copy, it says that when Mashiach comes, the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. And then we went and said, hold on a second. When did the Jewish people reach their state of completion? In the days of Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo is the 15th generation from Avraham Avinu. And on the 15th, just like the moon on the 15th is at its state of completion, it's a full circumference. And that was representative of King Shlomo. It's a time of complete peace. The Jewish people were at complete peace throughout the world. And this is showing completion. We're learning Yeshua Devar Malchus. It's not a mimer. It's the Sichas of Nun Aleph Nun Beis from the Rebbe. And this is Parshas Toldos from Nun Beis, the most recent teaching we have from the Rebbe, the most recent teaching of Chassidus we have on this week's Parsha. You could find it in the books of the Devar Malchus or in the Kuti Sichos. So when Shlomo Melech ruled, the 15th generation from Abraham, and 15 again is indicative of a state of completion, like the moon is complete on the 15th of the month. And it says when Moshiach comes, the moon will once again be in equal light to the sun, complete. So what does it mean when it says, our sages teach us, that the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon when Mashiach comes? When the moon is renewed on the first of the month, you don't see it. We just learned it's the beginning of the rebirth. It's not there. So how does it make sense? It should say that the Jewish people will be filled like the month, or will be like the moon, will be in a state of completion like the moon on the 15th of the month, when we're once again full. And that's not what our sages teach us. Our sages teach us that the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. And what happens when the moon is renewed on the first of the month? You don't see it. And it's in a state of complete concealment. Doesn't make sense. Something's off here. I hope this is making sense to everybody. Not the answer, but the question. Okay. Hey. ויובן בהקדם הביור במיילס הלידה והחידש לישראל המעלה והתינוק. לגבי מה עמדו מצבוי לאחרי שנעשה הדינו. It's interesting because the Rebbe is continuing on with this chain of thought, which he's mentioned many times in these sichas, and nothing is stam, meaning that if the Rebbe is emphasizing this point, it must be an ikar, must be a most important point. And that is the Rebbe says to understand this concept of renewal or birth of the Jewish people, we can relate to what it is, the great advantage of a child when they're born, when they're new, regarding the situation of an adult. As it's known, it says by the great sages of the Jewish people, they would pray to Hashem, please help me pray and come to know you like a tinuk, like a little child. We're talking about Talmid Chachamim, big Torah scholars, would ask Hashem that they should come to know him like a child comes to know him. Since a child doesn't comprehend these levels of godliness. And connected to the Sphirot, connected to the upper world, Adam, Kadmon, Atzilus, Bria, Tzira, Asiya, all the different Spheros of Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gavor, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod Yisoid, all the different angels, all the different chambers. When you study Chassidus, there's an infinite world up there. There's the world we come to know and understand, if you will, is a speck. When you start learning Chassidus, when you delve into the deeper secrets of the Torah, you realize there's infinite worlds out there. There's infinite, tremendous spiritual world and spiritual beings in multitude of levels. So the Rebbe said a child doesn't understand that. A child doesn't relate to God with all these infinite levels. A child just connects to God in the simplicity of God. They pray to the essence of God himself. They don't think about these spheros. They think about God, Abba. Because it's a much higher level to connect to the essence of God than it is to connect to all these sphirot and all these different levels of Hashem. But I make yoiser in a deeper way. And I just want to get through this, and then I'm going to give you what my comprehension is of what's going on here, while the Rebbe continues to bring in this line of thoughts about that we should connect to God like a child and pray to God like a child. And it was in last week's sake of the previous, he keeps pointing on this, emphasizing this point. And there is an advantage of a child in a simple sense regarding even great tzaddikim, great gadolim, great Talmid Chachamim that pray to Hashem. Gadol Yisrael, kevan sheyadua mevin masib b'nei nesfiros. As we said again, the more learned someone is, and the fact that the Rebbe is talking about sfirot is indicative of people who are learning Chassidus and Kabbalah. Because people who are just learning Nigla don't really learn about Sfirot and Madregas and levels of the spiritual world. So we have to assume that the Rebbe is referring to not only great sages and Talmid Chachamim of the Jewish people, but Dafka, great sages who even comprehend what Sfirot are, who understand Kabbalah, who understand Chassidus. Tzarich l'sholau kol hadregas v'atorim elo ve'elo midoisai. Ayder shemizboina shekol hadregas v'atorim shemavin masigim rak letzoi v'hashleila. L'dugma, enin lechov v'na'amar alav yisrechu הפשיץ ממנו יסבר כל משהו הפך היכולת, ועל ידי זה הוא עניין חכם ורצה. ממש ממנו יסבר כל משהו הפך החוכמה, ולכן הוא הולך ומשפיץ, ושלא מדרגס לדרגס עלי ואחר העילוי. לתגס ידוע שלא נדך. So, someone who has this deep comprehension of the inner workings of the spiritual worlds, who understands, I'm still trying to get the groove of these like halfway glasses here, who understands all these high levels of Kabbalah and Chassidus thinking, in order to connect to the essence of God, they have to begin this process of negating their knowledge. In other words, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, we want to learn as much about God as possible. We want to study Hasidus and Kabbalah, and we want to come to the deepest comprehension of all of creation. From the upper worlds all the way down here, we want to know all the different levels to see how God created the world, how God unfolded creation. It's a tremendous chachma to understand these things. But at the same time, when we go to pray to Hashem, we've got to negate all that stuff. We've got to pull it out of our brain. Because if we're focused on all these levels, we're not focused on the essence of God. We're focused on all these revelations. So we have to unknow, so to speak, what is the highest level of knowledge? Lo na'adecha, to not know. So how do you not know? You have to unknow the stuff you know. Otherwise, when you're praying, you're thinking of lower levels. See, a child doesn't know all these madrigas. A child just connects to the essence of God. שמגיע למסגן שלא ישייך שום ידיעה והשגה ומוסר מעצמו ישראל. כיוון שמגיע לזה עידי שלילה כל דרגת התורה. In order to reach the essence of God, someone must negate all these other levels and descriptions of God. And therefore, to reach the essence of God, which is above all these levels of descriptions, nirgash etzli bezeh gufay aliyah v'tfila ha'pa'ala v'lo eid ela sharagesh hiluyu mispa'alos v'hashleus ha'darkas ha'torim. To become like a child, to daven like a child, for someone who understands all these levels of godliness, it's a tremendous level of work. You have to negate and negate and negate all these levels and work to push them away and push them away until you can actually pierce through all these levels and connect to the essence of God. This is not the case of a child. He doesn't have a comprehension of God and all this multitude of levels and their descriptions. And so he has nothing to negate. He doesn't have to go through and remove all this higher knowledge he has, if you will. His connection to God when he's davening is to the essence of Hashem, without any of these levels, these spiritual levels, these Kabbalistic understandings. It's the very essence of God. Without any connections of any levels whatsoever. One second. וגם כפי שנקרא דאר אבשטר, and he calls God the Avishter. This is, it says in Yiddish, the Avishter. Which literally means the one above. Because the child doesn't understand, again, all these levels of comprehension. He just knows he's the one above. ומלבד זה נמצאה דמיילה אינו ידוע מה היא מציאוסי כי אם שישנה מציאוס למיסי של דבר אי אפשר לומר על דברי מציאוס. אינו דבר כיוון שגם בטבעוס אלו יש תוכן ודרגה מסוים ורק אפילו שמאחרים להשתמש בביטוי מציאוי. משתמשים בלשון מצוי בלשון רבינו הזקן. המאור הוא בהסגלוס, ולכן אפילו תינוק ידוע שיש שם אלא כמצויס. Literally, a child knows the existence of God. This is again, we're not dealing with multitudes of levels. We're not dealing with understanding. Intuitively, a child knows this is the existence of Hashem. So, I'm going to continue a couple more letters. Then I'm going to give you just a brief explanation of my humble opinion of what's going on here and why the Rebbe keeps emphasizing this point. Vav. And we could see from this is expressed as the division between the relationship to the levels in the existence of a person as he's connected to God. As we said above, the great Gedolim of the Jewish people, the high level, the Chachamim, if you will, in order to reach a level of the essence of God, they must negate, talking about davening, they must negate all these levels of knowledge that they have. And furthermore, to reach a state of completion, they must negate and completely remove their own mitzias, their own existence. Right? The only thing that separates us from God is us. We are the only thing that gets in the way of our connection to God. God is open and available to every single one of us. We learned that 2 weeks ago in Parshas Vayira. We spoke about how God revealed himself to Abraham. And God's revealing himself because we're all Bnei Abraham. We're all Abraham's children. God is revealing himself to every single one of us every second of the day. The question is if we're putting ourselves aside, the serious nefesh, if we're surrendering ourselves enough to be able to receive this divine energy. If not, we're the blockage. We're the ones getting in the way. And what does it mean to negate ourselves? It means we have to negate our comprehension and our understanding. And how do we negate our existence, our sense of self, through Mesirius Nefesh, through self-sacrifice? Bittul Metzius, nullifying our existence. And this through literally removing ourself, removing our will. A child doesn't have to do this because a child intuitively knows that God exists. Doesn't have to go through all these cheshbonot of removing things. Okay, so let me just give you my 2 minutes take on what's going on here. When the Rebbe came out with these sichos, especially after Gimel Thomas, especially after the Rebbe went to a state of concealment. He literally changed the whole entire existence of everything. There's only so much we could go into that because with God's help, if you join our journey, as I know Dov has, we're in our second merry-go-round here together. With God's help, I've been learning this, I think, for 13, 14 years straight. I've been learning every year the sichos of Noach Thun Beis every single year. Not because I'm so righteous, because this is what the Rebbe said to do to bring Moshiach. So that's what the Rebbe says to do. That's what I'm going to do, right? The Rebbe says to bang rocks. Oh, I'll bang rocks. I mean, we all want to bring Moshiach. This is what the Rebbe says to do. Learn the sichos. So it's very revolutionary, the concept in these sichos. The Rebbe takes us in these sichos to a whole new level. He elevates us from a state of Rebbe, which is head, Rosh Bnei Yisrael, to Mashiach, which is Keter. The Keter is the crown. It's above the Rosh. It encompasses the head. These sichos are the gateway into redemption. They're the gateway from a comprehension of our Rebbe as a Rebbe to a comprehension of a Rebbe as Melech HaMashiach, as King Mashiach. It's a whole different level. Third, oh yeah, you're right, third, shkoyach, hazaka. It's a whole new level. And he's bringing us, and the things that the Rebbe says in the sichos didn't exist before. Just like the Rebbe brought a revolution to Judaism, to the concept of everything from mitzvah tanks to parades. There was no parade. Jewish people didn't have parades, log bulbar parades. Jewish people didn't go and put tefillin on people in the corner and in the middle of the street. It was unheard of. Dancing with a Sefer Torah. That never happened before. People danced on Simchas Torah, but they didn't pick up a Sefer Torah. The Rebbe revolutionized Judaism. And with these sichas, he revolutionized the comprehension of godliness. He brought us to a whole new reality. But here's the thing. The only way to really grasp what the Rebbe is saying here in these sichas is to move ourselves aside. We have to become like children. In other words, I'll use my rabbi, may he live and be well. God bless him, Rabbi Gaffney. Rabbi Gaffney is probably more Bali Chuvas than I don't know anyone else in existence. He's on our third generation of Bali Chuvas. The Rebbe appointed Rabbi Gaffney to be his Rosh Yeshiva, the head of Yeshivas Or Tamimi, which I was Zoichet to go to, the English-speaking division of Tanchei Tamimi. And the Rebbe says Or Tamimi will be the Tiferet of the Tanchei Tamimi Yeshivas, because it's all focused on Bali Chuvas. The Rebbe has a special love in his heart for Bali Chuvas, for bringing people out there and bringing them back in to the fold. After Gimel Tammuz, I don't want to go too far, of course. I mean, the truth is, the season is not too long, so we'll definitely finish on time. It's worth taking a few minutes to talk about this. That after Gimel Tammuz, Lubavitch literally split like this. There was half the Lubavitchers that were saying they learned the sichos from the Rebbe, they knew what was happening. They hopped. Let me rephrase. Lubavitch split into three. They got it. They said, there's even, again, there's so much to talk about. I don't want to get into all of it. But there are literally people who are with the Rebbe after Chas v'Shalom, they said the Rebbe was dead, and they touched him, and he was warm, and his blood was still going. It was the most bizarre thing in the world. A lot of the Lubavitchers said right away, look, this isn't real. This is a test. This is a test. Then there's another group of Lubavitchers who said, you're Meshugana, he's dead, and they're crying. And there was another group in the middle who didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what to believe. Mass confusion ensued. I'm not going to take you through the history. Maybe another time we could do it. But the main thing is it went into these camps of Mishiachist and anti-Mishiachist, of those who were openly saying the Rebbe is Moshiach, and those who were saying we can't say such a thing. They never said it's not true, but we should share this in public knowledge. My rabbi, Rabbi Gaffney, joined the anti-Mishiachist camp. He said to those who are openly saying the Rebbe is Mashiach, you're a Meshugana. The Rebbe, what do you mean? He's not here, he passed. You can't say such a thing. And he said there was mass confusion in Lubavitch. Most Lubavitchers didn't know what to do. There was this polarization, but most people were in the middle in a state of confusion. So Rabbi Gaffney became an anti. And then after a couple of years, all of a sudden, and I have the most respect for him in the world. He's the most selfless person I've ever met in my life. If there's a little taste of what the Rebbe is, we can get it through Rabbi Gaffney. It lives his whole entire existence only for the Rebbe. No self-interest whatsoever. And all of a sudden, hundreds, thousands of followers around the world. And he get out and he gathered his students together and he openly said, I want to apologize to you. He said, because I erred. I made a mistake. I've been telling you the Rebbe is not Moshiach and that he passed on Gimel Tammuz. And I'm here to say I'm sorry. It was an error in judgment. The Rebbe is Hai V'Kayam. The Rebbe is alive and he's with us. And he is Melech HaMashiach, and I'm sure of it. And my apologies for misleading you. It wasn't intentional. And he lost a lot of his Hasidim. A lot of his followers just went out the other direction. And those who stayed with him strengthened. And again, I was Zoichet. I had the merit to spend a lot of time with him. We went to the Rebbe back and forth a few times. We traveled all over America together. I was his shomer. I was his guide for a couple of years while I was in yeshiva. And one time, we were driving together. We were driving from Carnegie to Baltimore to his son had a Chabad house there. And it was quite a long drive. I was driving. I said, Rabbi Gaffney, if I may, what happened? how did you go from this side to this side? He said, I'll tell you the truth. I always learned the Rebbe's Sichos of Nun Alf Nun Beis because the Rebbe said, this is what we should learn. And not only that, it's the most recent teachings we have from the Rebbe. It's known. You always follow the most. It's a halacha. When there's a conflict between the halachas, we follow the Alter Rebbe's Siddur because it's the newest we have, right? Moshe Rabbeinu told the Jewish people when we were splitting through the sea, take all the treasures you can. And the Rebbe said, that's enough, let's go. Well, hold on, you already said to take. Why shouldn't we should? You always go with the most recent teachings. This is halacha. So the Rav Gaffin said, I learned it. But here's the difference. He said, when I learned it with a closed mind. I learned it, and as I'm learning, I'm saying to myself, there's no way the Rebbe is saying he's Moshiach. There's no ways it can't be. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in here. Because in here, I'm paraphrasing, not what he said, but in here, we're filled with preconceived ideas and preconceived knowledge, and it's godly knowledge. It's tremendous godly knowledge. But often our own knowledge is the biggest obstacle to us learning. The highest level of knowledge is to not know. The second we think we got it, we're done. When you think you thoroughly understand something, when anyone comes and tells you, what do you say? Yeah, I know that already. You shut your brain off from any new information. We have to constantly unwind what we know to learn something more. So what happened? He said, I started learning the sichos through the eyes of a child. I said, hold on a second. Let me remove whatever I think I know. Let me remove whatever preconceived ideas or notions I had about anything, about Chassidus, about the Rebbe, about anything. And let me put my eyes on this brand new. Not an easy thing to do. See, I had the benefit of, I'm a Baal Tshuva. I came to Lubavitch, and in a few months, I started learning the sichos. I didn't have all this previous knowledge. I didn't have to unwind anything. I was a clean slate, if you will. But for most Lubavitchers, and in my humble opinion, when the Rebbe is talking about these great chachamim of the Jewish people, like the fact that he's mentioning about knowledge of sfirot, in my humble opinion, he's talking about Lubavitchers. He's saying you need to become like a child, because I'm going to take you to a place you've never been before. I'm going to take you above Chokhmah and Bina and Das, Chabad, and I'm going to bring you into Keter. I'm going to bring you into Moshiach. But to come with me on that journey, you have to unlearn everything you've learned. You have to unknow everything you know. And that's why the Rebbe is telling us over and over and over again, we have to become like children. Because if we don't become like children, we have a full cup and there's no room for any new information. And just to emphasize and to bolster my thoughts, the very first sicha of Nun Aleph Nun Beis isn't Bereshis. Bereshis starts in Nun Beis. The beginning of the Devar Malchus sequence, the very first parsha is Vayikra. What do we teach a child? The first thing you're teaching a child Torah, what do you teach them? Parshas Vayikra. That's where we start Chinuk. And that's where the Rebbe chose, not by happenstance, but by design, to start these sequences of these sichos. And Vayikra. Because he's telling us over and over and over again, stop knowing. Unknow. And then you can really learn. Don't, you ever talk to someone and they shut you down? Unknow. Be a child. When you become a child and you could absorb what's going on here, I challenge anyone in the world to spend 1 year learning these sichas inside. If they can honestly remove any preconceived thoughts or notions about anything, and not afterwards say, you can't say the Rebbe is not Mashiach after learning these sichos for a year. You can't. It happened with my wife. You could ask my wife. When we got married, she wasn't anti, but she was far from Mashiachist. She was a little embarrassed that I went with Yechikip on a Mashiach flag. And she's like, okay, the Rebbe was okay. He was excited. Mashiach, but Mashiach. I said, come learn with me. Took a few months to convince her. We started learning, and after a year, she's saying Yechi Adonenu every week. Because this is what the Rebbe is telling us. I want to move on. The point is, I just wanted to emphasize that it's not stam, that the Rebbe continues to tell us that we have to remove and become like children. And we have to become like children. And how does the Rebbe say that through Mesiris Nefesh? What is Mesiris Nefesh? This isn't the times of Russia. This isn't, we're not facing life and death to spread Judaism. Mesiris Nefesh is connected to our egos. It's connected to our fear of what other people will think about us, what other people will say, what will they... Let it all go. Let it all go. Move yourself aside. It's not about you. It's about the Rebbe. It's about the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is telling us this is what we need to do. Put your head down and go with the Rebbe, and you'll be amazed. And people come up and say another thing I love about my rabbi. I went for Bringans, and people are like, hold on a second. Are you trying to say that the Rebbe... He says, no. I'm not saying anything. I'm repeating what the Lubavitcher Rebbe tells us. We know the Rebbe's Moshiach not because we created this reality, because the Rebbe told us. He let us know. If the Rebbe told us the Baba Sali's Mashiach, we'd be screaming for the Baba Sali Mashiach. It's a difference to me who Mashiach is. I don't care. The Lubavitchers didn't create this concept. This is a sheer beyond the scope of what we're doing. The point is that the key to knowledge, the key to growth, especially connected to these sikhs, which are revolutionary, which are, again, are taking us from level 4 of Chokhmah, Bina, and Das to level 5 of Keter, of Mashiach. Move yourself out of the way. Become a tinuk. Become a child. Okay, that's my plug for the evening. Let's jam back inside. Zion. He's gone on Torah Chassidus. And now let's explain this according to the Torah of Chassidus. Etzel Gadol Yisrael Mizgala Tiskashresh. Excuse me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mitzad Dargas Megiluim. Tiskashresh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Aydei Lefi Erech B'Habana V'Hasaga B'Seiko V'Hamidas Shebelev. That the greats of the Jewish people, to reveal their connection to Hashem from a level and a state of revealing that is connected to Hashem through and according to their comprehension and their grasping and their seikel and their midos in their hearts, and their brain and their emotions. L'mayla mezeh, in other words, our general connection to God is through our intellect, right? The more Torah knowledge we know, it's right. The more you know, knowledge is power. The more of God's knowledge we have, the more powerful we become, the more connected to God. So usually our connection to God is through our intellect and our emotions. But the Rebbe said there's a higher level, and that is Ratzon or Tainuk, pleasure and will, or will and pleasure as it's written. Ratzon is will, Tainuk is pleasure. And Ratzon and Tainuk are both connected to Keter. Ratzon is Chetzoni Keter, the outer part of Keter, it's will. And the Panemius of Keter, the inner part of Keter, is pleasure. And this is above the brain and the heart. That's the point we're trying to get to. Until we reach a completion of Hashem, which is the level of the Yechida, which we already said every Jew has a spark of this Yechida, and Moshiach is the general Yechida of all the Jewish people. And this is connected to the fifth level, if you will, Shem Shemora Al Torah V'Geler V'Siyonim Yechida Yechadecha Shekol Ratzaynu V'Chafsay. Let's ask Mitzvah Yisrael Achanim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the ultimate Yechida and the ultimate desire, if you will, is to connect and become one with God. But a child is connected to the Hashem from the essence of his soul. Even above the level of the Yechida, even above the 5 levels. To the point of literally one with God. So just briefly, the normal course is you got to go from below to above. You start with your emotions, right? You get excited, you get passionate about God. You get into your intellect. Now you become a chachma. You start comprehending the Torah. You get it. It's a higher level of tainu, higher level of wow. And then you get into the will. You want to carry out God's will. Then the pleasure. You have a pleasure. So you're going from level to level till you get to the level of the Yechida. Yechida, the 5th level of the soul. And that is the oneness of the soul with God. A child is not going through all these levels. A child is negating even the Yechida, because the Yechida is still a descriptor. It's still a name. It's still a fifth level. A child is connected to the essence of God. And if I will, that is one of the main points of all these sikhs, is for us to comprehend and for us to live in a reality of oneness with Hashem, above levels, above descriptions. When a Jew comes to the realization that we are literally one with God in the simplest sense, just like a child. God, Abba. Ches. And this is connected to the service of every single Jew, every single day of our lives. Immediately upon rising, every single Jew from young to old, the first thing we say, the first thing we're supposed to say is Modeh ani lefanecha. Thanks and praise I give before you, Hashem, for restoring my soul. The moment we awaken from our sleep, that this is the foundation of our entire service of God, because it's emphasizing from the moment we pop our eyes in the morning that we're not here for ourselves, that we're here to nullify our existence to God, that we're acknowledging that God is the boss, that we're the workers, we're not the boss. That's why the first word we said when we crack our eyes is not ani, it's modeh. Ani is referring to the eye, right? When we say to a loved one, when we say to God, I love you, what's the first word in that sentence? It's I. In other words, love is a very selfish thing if it's not unconditional. Meaning, I love you. When we say I love you, usually to someone or to God, when we're going through difficulties, when God's punching us in the stomach, no. God gives us a blessing, something good happens, make a little bit of guilt, we're getting along good with our wife, we have a child, we have all these wonderful things, I love you, right? Someone does something nice for us, I love you. But when someone is not nice, when God is throwing us curveballs, when things are difficult, it's very hard to say I love you, because the I is annoyed. How can I say I love you when you're not doing things that I want? I. And so when we wake up in the morning, we don't say, I'm giving thanks to you, God. The first word of our mouth is modeh, praise. Because the essence of a Jew is to nullify ourselves before God. Praise. I'm giving praise. I'm nullifying. You are my creator. Modeh. This is nullification and praise. Hada'ah is thanks from the essence of our soul. Not connected to ourselves. It's a very simple thing. But if we really think about it for a moment, that means from the second we wake up, we are literally saying to God, it's not about me. I'm not the creator. I didn't make this world. I didn't pick to be born. I'm here to serve you. It's beyond the scope of what we're going through right now. But the ultimate completion is surrender. You can't find yourself without God. Because you're creators. The only way to truly find who you are and your true purpose is by the continual nullifying your will before God. That doesn't mean be a shmata. That doesn't mean I'm nothing, I'm a piece of garbage. That means you have to emphasize your God-given talents and abilities, but nullify your will of what you want to use them for, and give place to God to channel through you for godly purposes. And this is the foundation of a yid. ויש לומר שעניין זה מרומז גם בתיביאס מודה בקמשיה נון ה' שמרמז על העצם שלושים בכוונה עצם הנשמה. And this is ויש לומר שעל זה נאמר הן אם לבדי ישכבים. העצם של המעלה, מלמעלה גם מבחינת היחידה, הקשר מיוחדת עם יחידה של עולם. אלא כמו שכתוב, הן להוויה אלוקיך השמיים משמי השמיים, והארץ וכל אשר בהם. והן מורה על דרגה לפניך למעלה מהוויה אלוקיך. This is connected literally to this, the Rebbe is saying, to the level of a hein, of nun hey, which is connected to this level of godliness. 1 second. That is above the heavens of heavens, is connected to the essence. When we wake up in the morning, when we say, Modeh ani lefenecha, that I'm giving thanks and praise before you, we're literally totally surrendering our will to God. That we see that even the Yechida, which is the fifth level of our soul, the oneness of our soul with God, it is still a name for the essence of our soul. It's called the Yechida. It's not the essence of our soul. Because once you describe something, it's not its essence. The second something is described, it's gilui, it's revealing. Excuse me. The essence of something is above description. It's higher than description. That's how and this is connected again above the eye, above any levels. It's connected to the very essence of God, even above the Yechida. And it's mashma in other places in Chassidus and in Kabbalah that the Yechida is the essence of the soul. The Rebbe is saying no. The Yechida is the name for the essence of the soul, but it's not the essence. The essence of the soul is God. It's one with God. In other words, it's not a name that's describing what the essence is. It's the very essence itself. It's higher than the description. It's higher than the fifth level of the soul. It's the essence of the soul in and of itself. And when we say modani lefanecha, praise and thanks I'm giving before you, this describes the ultimate state of bittul and hoda'ah, the ultimate state of nullification and praise. Shehi yetzia l'mitziosei. Literally, when one goes out from his existence, it's the place where your independent existence no longer exists. When you are totally one with God, it's called yesh amiti, your true existence. In other words, you're a person. You're in a body. You have thoughts, and we learned this in last week. Parshas Chayasera. What a shliach is a shliach is when you are completely one with the one who sent you, with Hashem, with Moshiach. In other words, you have no existence whatsoever. But at the same time, you have an existence. You have 10 powers of your soul. You are an individual. But your individuality is nullified to God. And prior to this and above from this is revealed the existence like it is in La'atzmo, in and of itself. From the moment he awakens from sleep, and then he does not have any revealing of his existence. He just woke up from sleep. You don't have an existence, so to speak. Rather, at that moment, your existence is totally nullified and one with the very essence of God. That the Jewish people and Hashem are truly one. He, in other words, the very basic and foundation of our day is to wake up with the comprehension that I'm only here to serve my Creator, that I don't have an independent existence, That I'm not waking up thinking about what am I going to have for breakfast, and when I'm eating breakfast, what am I going to have for lunch, and what am I going to have for dinner, and thinking about all these things that I have to do that are connected to me, and how much I want and I need, and I want this and I need to buy this and I want to do. The second we crack our eyes, it's about God. By the way, I'm far from saying that I'm succeeding in these things. I just want to emphasize, because when a lot of times when I talk, I get very passionate and may appear like as if I'm saying like I've mastered these concepts. I wish I'm just telling what the Rebbe is saying. Alavai, I should be able to do a fraction of what I speak about. The point is that there's a difference, and the importance of that I believe in learning these things is that we have to have clarity. In other words, we need to know this is the goal. It doesn't mean that we're living there. We can't beat ourselves up because we're not there. This is a process. This is a life process. But we need to know that this is the goal. The goal is to wake up and know that I'm not here for myself. My entire existence is for Hashem. And every aspect of my life and every aspect of my day, from the moment I wake up and say, Modeh ani lefanecha melchai v'kayam shechsavta bi nisham b'cheba rabu munasecha. The Rambam says we say that not only when we wake up, but all day long we should modeh. Thank you, Hashem, from awaking me from Hevel Havanim, from the slumbers of this world, that all the time we have to keep reawakening ourselves, because it's really easy to get lost in this recta de gadekta, as they say in Yiddish, in the thick mess of this world. It's very easy to get sucked and swallowed up into elections, into money, into success, into all these things. It's a tough world out there. We got to constantly wake up every moment. Say, Modeh ani lefanecha. Mod. And what am I doing here? I got to return to my mission. I got to get back to my mission. I got to get back to fulfill my divine purpose. I'm God's partner. And this carries out throughout the continuation of the day. First of all, as soon as we wake up and say, Modeh ani lefanecha, thank you, Hashem. Then we begin morning brachas. We say, thank you for the soul that you breathed into me, that you created and you formed and you blew into my mouth, into my existence. Now we're channeling through the different levels of the soul. In other words, we start with the essence of the soul from Modeh ani, and then in the morning brachas, we're going down, we're returning the essence of the soul back into the body from Etzilus Bria Yetzira Asiya. I already said that, corresponding to the four names or levels of our soul, which is basically the Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. Sha'achas Yeshar HaBrachas HaShachar HaTiknon HaKamayis HaSeder HaOidam VaHamgagas Umah Shabirasna HaYim Yoim. And of course, after we say morning brachas, we've got to start our day and go into the world. But Prati So Yeshiva Avodas Tefila Sheyesh Bo Daler HaShleivois Keneged Daler Oilam Abiyah. And then what do? It's interesting. We start from high to low. In other words, we go from high of the atzmus, the essence of our soul, the essence of God. And then we travel through the four worlds until we come down to Asiya. And now when we're fully in our bodies, we go out, first place, we go to shul. And what do we do in shul? We're elevating again. We're going from the lowest world. Davening is the ladder. When we go and daven, we start at the lowest rung of the ladder, which is Asiya, and we start climbing back up from Yetzira, Bria, Atzilus, going all the way back up again. And now it's time to go into the world. And we've got to get working. We go out from the Beit HaKnesset to the Beit HaMidrash. And we must conduct ourselves in a pleasant way. In order to make the dwelling place for God. In other words, don't wake up in the morning and say Modeh and do your brachas, and then go to shul and learn Torah, and then go out in business and then rip people off, or be dishonest, or lie, or cheat, or steal. It's kind of defeating the purpose. In other words, to make the world a dwelling place for God, it's not just inside the Siddur or the Torah. It's in the world. We got to conduct ourselves in the right way. Test. And according to what we said above, we can understand the unique thing that will take place in the true and complete redemption through Mashiach. Where it says in the future we will be renewed. And this is now we're getting to the answer to our question. If you remember our original question, which is, it says the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. But we already learned that in Mashiach times we'll reach our state of completion, just like the moon will be full like the sun. And the completion of the Jewish people was in the 15th generation, which is from Shlomo HaMelech, from Abraham. And 15, just like the 15th day of the month, represents when the moon is full. So why do our sages say that the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon when Mashiach comes? Because when the moon is renewed, you don't see it. It's the first day of the month. It's Rosh Chodesh. It's a Tad. It's a Nakuda. And now we're going to give us our answer. Hold on, where did I go? Oh, and this is referring specifically to the renewal, like we said, when the moon is first born, not the fulfillment of the moon, which takes place on the 15th of the month. And the difference between the renewal of the moon at the beginning of the month, which is on Rosh Chodesh, compared to the completion of the moon, which is on the 15th of the month when it's full. Because when the moon reaches its state of completion, then it's connected to the full state of revealing, when the light is revealed at its fullest state. And from day to day, when it goes and increases the light of the moon until it gets to its completion of the light, which is on the 15th of the month again. This is not the case that takes place of the advantage of the moon when it's reborn, but when it's connected to its essence. That after a complete state of concealment from the moment before birth, the renewal and the beginning of the existence of the moon. Because the essence of something is higher than its revealing. And then it draws down and it becomes revealed even more, because the light is becoming revealed, every day until it reaches its state of completion. I'm going to keep learning inside, and then we will explain what all this means and what is the Rebbe getting at here, if you haven't already kind of hopped what the point he's trying to make. The Gula mitzvah shlema mizbatas b'chidush rega hamola, and from this we can understand the advantage and the main advantage of the true and complete redemption, when it in the completion that is connected to the unique thing of the renewal of the moon, not its completion, but the renewal in the beginning of the month. Because then this is the beginning and showing of the true existence of the moon, which is like the Jewish people. His galus etzem metzios Yisrael, and this is when the essence of the Jewish people will be revealed, not the revelation, but the essence. We learned earlier that the essence of the soul is higher than all the revealing. Even the 5 levels, the nefesh, ruach, neshama, chayil, yechida. It's not the essence. Even the yechida, the oneness, the highest level of the soul, it's still a level. But the ultimate goal is the essence of the soul. And the essence of something is higher than its revealing. We only have names because of other people. If I was the only person in the world, do I need a name? Maybe if I have bipolar, and maybe if I have multiple personality disorder, and I got to talk to myself. But if there's no one else in the world, you don't need a name. The whole purpose of a name is so other people can call you and can relate to you. But you're above your name. You're connected to your essence. The name is only something that describes you. Just like Hashem, that's what we've been learning the whole Sikha. The essence of God, the way a child connects to the essence of God, is above the levels. Even the 5th level of the soul is a name. Yechida. It's a name referring to the highest level, but it's not the essence. The essence of something is a revealing. Once something is revealed, it's not its essence. It's called a gilui. Chassidus explains there are 2 opposite concepts. You have etzem and gilui. You have the essence of the sun, which is the inner ball fire of the sun, and you have the sun's rays. The sun's rays are revealing, but it's not inside. When I'm talking right now, when you talk to a person, you're not revealing your essence. Maybe if you're saying the Rebbe's words, you are, but if you're speaking your own, you could be talking to someone and thinking about something completely else. You could be meeting someone and talking to them and say, oh, yeah, I understand strategy. Of course, yeah. And in your brain, you're saying, this person's a putz. I have no idea what they're talking about, but I'm going to agree with them because I don't feel like getting into a whole argument today. So what you're saying is completely disconnected from what's going on inside of you. And even your thoughts could potentially be disconnected from your essence because your essence is deep inside your core. Once things come out and they're revealed, those are not your essence. And that's the point we're getting at. The essence of the soul, the essence of the moon. We don't see the moon because it's its essence. When it starts lighting up, it's because it's becoming revealed. Follow? And that's why it says the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. Because in the beginning of the month of Rosh Chodesh, the moon is renewed. Its essence is there. And when Moshiach comes, the true essence of the Jewish people will be revealed. Not the revelation that takes place throughout the Golos. Even in the height of the 15th generation of Shlomo HaMelech, it was the height of the moon being complete. In other words, the way we were revealed was in a state of completion. But our essence is higher than what's revealed. Let me continue, and we'll get into it a little bit more. What is emphasized in the renewal of the moon, and what will be emphasized in the renewal of the Jewish people when Mashiach comes, is the essence which is above any state of revealing, any state of giluim, any state of revelation. Before the gilui es mitzvah Yisrael, amiti shel Yisrael. Because in the future to come, will be revealed, we will see the true existence of the Jewish people. Because the essence of the soul of a Jew is one with the essence of God. Yisrael b'kudosh baruch hu kulo chad. The Jewish people and Hashem are one. Truly one. Above any state of revealing. It's not a hard concept to intellectually understand. It's a hard concept to live. That God literally put himself in every Jewish body. And the more we can move ourselves out of the way, the more we can take our ego and get it out of ourselves, and the more we can connect to the essence of our soul, we can channel through it. Then we could be alavai lahadil, like the avos, like a chariot. that literally fulfill God's will. It doesn't even think, it'll just be automatic. The Havdale, $1 billion in the movie The Matrix. When Neo said to Morpheus, he said, "You mean," I don't remember the exact line. I can't put a lush in the language. He said something like that. He's going through all his training. You mean if I focus hard enough and I think hard enough, I'll be able to dodge bullets? And he's like, no, you don't have to think. In other words, it'll just be intuitive. You won't have to sit here and break your head and say, I want to be one with God. I love you, God. Help me, God. I want to be with you. I want to be connected with. That's wonderful. Those are all great levels. But the ultimate to get to the point is where it's not you and God. It's not two separate existences. It's only, I love you, God. I want to connect to you, God. Because you feel yourself. We feel ourselves. When we stop feeling ourselves, when our essence gets connected, we come to the true realizations, which will happen when Moshiach comes, that we are one with God. These are not fluffy, lofty words to make us feel warm and fuzzy. Oh, God loves me. No, it means you don't exist. It means you're just a conduit for God, the energy to flow through you. כפי שנמשך והחיידר המסגלה בכל הדרגות החמישה שמוי שנקרא בכל כוחות הנפש, and this will draw down the essence, the oneness of God, and penetrate and reveal throughout all of our powers of our soul. The time of Ratzon, including the pleasure and the will, the highest level, the Keter, and all in the seichel and the emotions, the brain and the emotions, the vushim and our garments of our soul, machshava, dibur, maisa, thought, speech, and deed, the gufa gashmi and our physical body, the komarach ivrim and all 248 limbs or bones, if you will, the shesad gidim and all 365 tendons or sinews or connecting tissues, shnikra behem before begilu. All of this existence, from the highest level of our soul to our physical body, the Yisrael that the Jewish people and God are one. It's wondrous things that the Rebbe is telling us now. I want to explain more about this concept of the moon, but I don't, a lot of times I say it, and then I don't realize it's coming. The Rebbe says it inside. So let's continue on. And if it's not explained to the Rebbe, we'll talk about it a little bit more. And there is to say then the complete true redemption, the way things will be in the future to come. This is emphasized mainly in the month and specifically of Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Kislev, concealed and revealed, to reach its ultimate state of completion, just like the fulfillment and the fulfillment of the moon. Combined, in other words, Kislev has both of these. It's indicative of Lev or Ela. We started off the Sikha explaining this, which is the ultimate state of revealing when the moon is full. And it is Kis or Kisui or concealment, which is the ultimate state of concealment when the moon is being reborn. So we have both of these. We have full revelation, 15th of the month, and full essence, the beginning of the month. Kislev has both. Two complete opposite realities. The essence of something, which is higher than revealing, and the complete revealing of something, both combined together. If you're thinking what's going on here already, you can start putting together what's going on with the Rebbe. What is the message the Rebbe is sending us? What is the message? Keep in mind, nothing happens to a tzaddik without their permission. Nothing. From the heart attack, from the stroke, from Gimel Thomas, the Rebbe agreed to everything that happened to him. Every tzaddik agrees to everything that's going to happen to him. These sikhas are preparing us for Chav Zayin Adar, the stroke where the Rebbe lost his ability to speak for this time. For Gimel Thomas, where the Rebbe went to state of concealment, the Rebbe is literally handing us a map. He's telling us, here is what's taking place. Here is what's going to happen. I'm preparing you. I'm giving it to you on a platter. Learn it and live it, and you will live in a state of redemption instead of a state of, a Rebbe, we don't have a Rebbe, whoa, it's gone, what are we going to do if only the Rebbe was here? And it's the Rega Hamoyle, the concealment, or the essence, which is at the beginning of the rebirth. And this is renewal and revealing the very essence and being of the moon. And this is a pilipoi, this is a wonder that the Rebbe is saying. In the beginning of the month, we have the essence. We already said the essence above revealing. It's above any state of revealing. And then the essence reveals and penetrates and draws down into revealing. Two complete opposites fused together. Bli gvul and gvul. No boundaries or limitations in a boundary and limitation. When Moshiach comes, we're going to live in a physical body, in a physical world, and not be bound by the rules of physical world. You want to go to Israel? You don't have to hop on a plane. You go like this, boom, you're in Israel. There's so much to talk about, and I don't want to, again, go too far off topic, but the Rebbe has a sikha where he explains that all the technology in the world is only revealing what really is going on, the true existence of the world. Why do you think of that? If you look at the technology that has advanced in the last 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, it's light years ahead from hundreds and thousands of years before that. How is it possible? They can't put together a microchip fast enough before it's already obsolete. Go buy a new computer. You buy a new computer all excited. How long is until there's a higher technology, right? It's mind-boggling. 20 years ago when they come up with, well, no, it's even more than that. Is it more than that? Hold on, I'll tell you right now. 30 years ago, cell phones first came out. I remember it was like a G.I. Joe set. It was this big brick. It was this giant phone. It used to cost like $6 a minute. We thought it was the coolest thing in the world that we rolled around with one of these big backpack phones that only they had for military. And the phone was like $3,000. It was like $6 a minute to use it. And we walked around with this backpack phone and it was like, wow, look at those guys. They've got a cordless phone. They can talk outside. It was the craziest thing in the world. You would have told us back then, in another 20-something years, your phone is going to be this big and you could see people on the other end of the world. Forget about it. Before the phones were even made, you could look at a picture of someone and talk to them live at the other end of the world for free. What, are you crazy? We don't need the essence of our being. We don't need phones and watches and all this stuff. It's above it. You've got throngs of people in China just sitting there, just tapping into all this technology. They're taking godly energy that's being revealed in the world, and they're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour to try to catch up with the true existence of the world. That's infinitely higher than all these tools. We're not going to need these tools anymore. Just look at the progression of technology in the last 10, 20 years. What do you think that's because the Chinese people are getting smarter? It's ridiculous. It's because Moshiach is happening. Because the godly energy that's coming into the world is becoming more and more revealed. And this is the fusion of two complete opposite things. Moshiach is going to reveal both realities. Concealment and revealment. Physical and spiritual as one. We can't really wrap our heads around what that means because we can't comprehend what that means. Because up until this point, there was two things. There was revealing and concealing. There was essence and revealing, opposites. When Mashiach comes, the essence will be revealed. What does that mean? I wish I could explain it. It's like explaining God. How are you supposed to explain it? We're going to know when we live in that reality. You know what is the dogma of that? The Beis HaMikdash. And the Beis HaMikdash and this Kodesh Kadoshim, the Aron HaKodesh didn't take up place. You measured it, and it measured its place, and then you measured wall to wall, and it was the same measurement. It was there, but it wasn't there. It was physical, but it was spiritual. That's reality of Mashiach. That's what the Rebbe is saying is Kislev. That is this reality of the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. But the moon is perfect in its fulfillment. Yeah, that'll happen too. But it will only be secondary to the essence, above revealing. And that essence itself will get revealed. I'm doing my best to try to emphasize this point over and over again, but it's very hard to comprehend. Because it's two opposite realities, like a soul and a body. Our body comes from the lowest part of creation. Adam. What is Adam? Adam is Aleph Dam. Dam is blood. Aleph is Elokus. The earth, Afar, the lowest part of existence. Domain, physical dirt. God took this dirt and took a godly soul, the highest part, and put them together. They're complete opposites. They don't belong together. They're together. How is it possible? Two complete opposites. Only God. God can create two opposites. He could take fire and water and bring them together. He could take a soul and a body and put them together. And every Jew is one with God. That means every one of us has the capacity to be complete, godly, removed from the world, one with God in a physical world. Eating, drinking, doing physical things. Again, the Rebbe is taking us to a whole new levels. Now again, keep following along. We started talking about revealing on the 15th of the month when things are fully revealed. And then we went to concealments or essence where the revealing doesn't take place. And then we have the culmination, which is the fusion of revealing and concealed together. Both of those realities. If you're thinking about what's going on and you're following the course of the Rebbe, you'll start realizing the connection and what the Rebbe is trying to tell us. In addition to this, we see this is also emphasized in the festival days of the month of Kislev, Hanukkah, Yutes Kislev. Hashem and Shabbat Torah connected to the oil or the essence of the Torah. Penimius Torah, Shinis Gala, but Torah is Chassidus, the inner aspect of the Torah which is revealed, which is Chassidus. Ki Aide Torah Chassidus Nase Ha'inin Yediasa V'Yisa. The highest knowledge, that Chassidus is a foretaste and a preparation for the complete knowledge of God, which will take place in the future to come. Because the entire occupation of the world will only be to know God. Like it says that the entire earth will be filled with knowledge of God, like the waters cover the ocean bed. Excuse me. How much more so for the Yidden, we will know all the deepest secrets. They will all become revealed into a state of Yedea, knowledge, literally know. What was the first sin of man? We ate from the tree of knowledge. We got imbued, the snake, the Yetzer Hara, if you will, was outside. We ate and it internalized it. The knowledge of good and evil, what is good and evil? That's what we've been parsing through our entire lives. Sifting, beruring, trying to fix, trying to purify this world. And we'll remove the knowledge of good and evil and it will be placed with the knowledge of God. Alpi Yudua Shakani Nemasi the Voti Louis Masiano Govisano calls Mechagos. And it's known that all the matters in the future to come are conditioned upon our deeds and our service in the times of the Golas. That's why the Rebbe continues to push us. We're not here to wait for Mashiach. We're here to bring Mashiach. Because all the work we do now to bring Mashiach is going to be what Mashiach is about. The more effort we put in now, the more we're going to have revealed when Mashiach comes. Move on from this, we can understand that the service in preparing for the true and complete redemption for a righteous Mashiach. And this is when we see that we'll be renewed once again, just like renewed like the moon. Then the essence of the Jewish people will be renewed. The essence of the soul that is above, even from the level of the Yechida. And I mean, look, I'm not trying to claim I've learned all the Chassidus, but to my knowledge, most of the places in Chassidus talks about the Yechida as the essence of the soul. The Rebbe is saying no. The Yechida is still not the essence. It's still the fifth level. The essence is above. This is in addition to what we said many times, the complete redemption through our righteous Mashiach that comes through every one of the Jewish people, since we all have a spark of Mashiach inside of us. And this is the level of the Yechida. In addition to the fixing up and the main intention of what we're doing in this world, the Olam HaTikun, the world of fixing, if you will, is Galus Etzem Neshama Mamash, to reveal the essence of the soul, and this is the true matter of Mashiach. The essence of the soul, as we said, the essence of the soul is above the level of the Yechida, above the fifth level of the soul. You see how we're doing on time? Okay, good. We're in line for an on-time landing, and then I want to bring all this together, if it's not already starting to come together in your brains. And there is to say the Rebbe says it's hinted from the lashon of what is written that I've already found my servant David and I've already anointed him. This is what the Rebbe is telling us now. This is Hashem was referring to David HaMelech, and now the Rebbe is emphasizing this taking place now. That God has already found his servant. In other words, God has already chosen his Redeemer. Mashiach is not a democratic vote. We don't get to vote on who we want to pick for Mashiach. It's not up to us. We can't say, I want Chaim Pupik to be Mashiach. Mashiach exists in two states. God first reveals himself to Mashiach and says, you are the Redeemer. Stage number two is the people have to accept him. David HaMelech spent 7 years in Hebron before he went to Jerusalem, because the people didn't accept him. And that's the same pasuk. God said, I already found my servant David. I already said he's going to be the king. I already put my oil on him. But the people didn't accept him. A Jewish king is not a dictator. A king doesn't come out and say, I'm king, do what I say. A Jewish king needs the people to accept him. That's why it's two stages. God chooses Mashiach, and the people need to accept him. And the Rebbe is saying here, God already chose Mashiach. I already found my servant. I've already anointed him. Metzati, I found him. Melashim Mitsui. In other words, he's in existence now. He's here. Shemora al etzem Metzia sur the maram or begetter. And this is indicative also of his very essence, which is above any descriptions. Lamara gam begetter shal Metzius. V'rak mifnei shemachrim. Yistamish mabitui mesiyoim mistamshim melashim Mitsui. Together, and furthermore, when it says I've already found my servant David and I've anointed him, according to the essence of the soul Mashiach, above any description or any boundaries whatsoever. This is what it means. I found him. I mean, I found his being, his essence, excuse me, the Achazeh b'Shem and Kachi Mishasai, and after that I anointed him with oil. To Shemin, the oil, Mura'ah b'chilas yechira b'kladis and Neshama Mashiach is indicative. Oil, of course, is talking about Hasidus, also the very essence, which is the general soul of Mashiach. That penetrates his whole being in all matters. But just like oil, that oil penetrates and permeates everything. You pour oil into something, it seeps in all the details. And you know about Avodah called Echem Yisrael is connected to the Slevi Jew. Shagam Shlifnei Shuklam the Atzmo Yemis Galos Bechinas Yechida Bitol Hoda'a Mr. He's Maserois Lakodesh Baruch Hu. And just like according to the very essence that is revealed the level of the Yechida, and this is through Bittul. And how do we really reveal our essence? Through buying ourselves to God, by ourselves to side, if you will. And this is how we find the essence of our being, by removing our yeshus, our ego, the idea, and this is how we come to know God. In other words, self-consciousness and God consciousness are two opposite things. If we're all the time thinking about ourselves, there's no place for God. If we're all the time thinking about God, we move ourselves out of the way. And this brings about all the matters in actuality that penetrates and reveals the essence of our soul. And this is the true concept of the days of Mashiach. The true essence of the Jew will be revealed in the ultimate state. Yud Av. Yesh Lamar. There is to say. As our rabbis teach us, the concept of where it says all the days of your life, you're only here to Mashiach. All the days of your life, is referring to every single moment of the life of a person. Days and nights. When you're awake and when you're asleep. Shagam as avir. It's literally all the days of your life to bring Mashiach. It means your entire existence. Exist only to bring the days of Mashiach. That's why we're here. Klomar, in other words, not only. One second. Not only are the days of our life to bring Mashiach, but the very essence and our being exists to bring Mashiach. There's to say, in addition, Lord, the voice, literally every single day of our life, and all the days in order here in Lushan Rabim, meaning in more than one, meaning our whole existence is to bring Mashiach. Literally, the whole entire situation of bringing about Mashiach, and then the real essence of the Jew will be revealed in reality. This is what it means to bring the days of Mashiach in Rabim. It doesn't say the day, it says the days in plural form. This is indicative of the two stages of Mashiach. In case. You go from strength to strength until More specifically, you must Mashiach. All the days of your life to bring the days of Mashiach. Mizbata bekach, shetechni she'or ve'etzem haneshama, anishmiya, avira inyan. Avir shel Mashiach. We're talking about today the avir's the air or the ruach or the spirit of Mashiach. As I'll say, ruach shel Mashiach, the spirit of Mashiach, which is above the light of Mashiach. It's a higher point. It's more connected to the essence, the breath of a person, if you will. It says now that the ruach, the spirit of Mashiach, is higher from the Mashiach. Or he's godless to Mashiach. The light of Mashiach is connected to the revealing, if you will, of Mashiach through his deeds, through his activities. This is not the case of the air, of the ruach, the spirit of Mashiach. This is connected to his essence above what he does. In other words, the light is his activities, pa'ulas, what he's doing in the world. 6,000 Chabad houses, spreading Torah to the furthest corners of the world, meeting every single world leader and advising them on everything from war to military strategy. We were just talking the Farbrengen, that we had to center a beautiful Farbrengen for Rosh Chodesh Kislev. That in the middle of the heart attack, the top cardiologist specialists are surrounding the Rebbe, and the Rebbe, in the middle of a massive heart attack, is telling the doctors, you may be thinking when you go in and you try to, whatever, I don't understand how it works, but you may want to go into the right ventricle and then enter to the left ventricle. You shouldn't do that because the way the heart attack is happening, you should go from above and then go around. And the doctors are looking at him like, did you go to med school, Rebbe? So no, I just know a lot about medicine. The top strategist in Israel, he's never been to Israel. And he's telling the top military generals how to attack our enemies and how to go across this way, and explaining different little details of areas in Israel and the desert. They're looking at him like, how do you have this information? These are all connected to the activities of Mashiach, to the things Mashiach is doing. But that's the light, the air, the ruach of Mashiach is his essence. It's above what he does. It's above, it's his being. In other words, he's galus metziosai, the revealing of his essence, betar melech HaMashiach. In what makes it, this is melech HaMashiach. After he is galus metziosai, and after the revealing of his essence, betchila is galus einei. Then we have his activities. In other words, we have Mashiach, and we have what he does. And through this, we can understand the main chiddush, the main unique will take place in the days of Mashiach, is the essence of Mashiach will be revealed. Let's just pause a second, because we've been learning about these two things. We've been learning about Metzius and Gilui, essence and revealing. And we started out by talking about the Jewish people being complete, like Shlomo HaMelech. This is revealing, like the 15th of the month of the moon, when it's revealed. And then we spoke about, but it says the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon, like on Rosh Chodesh, when we're connected to the Metzias, the essence, which is above revealing. So now we have revealed and concealed. Metzias is a state of concealment or non-revealing. And then we have revealing, which is the opposite of Metzias. Then we talked about Kislev, which is the fusion of both of these. That we have revealing and concealing, Metzias and revealing in the highest state in the month of Kislev. And then we spoke about it in how Yemot HaMashiach, we're going to have both of them. Not possible to understand in our brain. Not possible to exist, because it's never existed before. We will have the essence, Metzius, will become revealed. Metzius Gilui. Up until this point, it's been one or the other. concealed or revealed. Gilui or Metzias. But now we're talking about his Galus Metzias. When Mashiach reveals himself, his essence will be revealed. Call Prati, meaning including all the details that took place after this, and adding on and revealing to his existence, to his essence. Similar to how when the moon is reborn and it's in its state of birth, we have its existence, and then it adds on and grows until we have its revelation. And even deeper according to the precise language. All the days of your life to bring the days of Mashiach. That your very highest, your very life, your very being should feel the existence of Mashiach. And the existence, including all the details of the matters of the days of Mashiach, including and revealing the essence which will be revealed. Again, the fusion of these two seemingly opposite concepts. Yud Beis. And is connected to actuality. The Rebbe says, Hamasahu Ikar. The deed is the main thing. Since we already had the birth of the moon, Barosh Chodesh Kislev, which took place on the first day of Kislev, Chodesh Hashlishi, the third month of the year, if you're counting, of course, from Tishrei, the Hashlishi is Tishana Tashanun Beis, and the third connected to the third base of Migdash. It's necessary for every single Jew to add on and to do more and to emphasize how all the days of our life are here only to bring about Mashiach. This is our very being in essence. To bring the days of Mashiach. We're not waiting for anything. We're active participants. In addition to this, we see it's necessary at this very moment that through the arousal and the renewal and the strength which is connected to the essence of our soul to bring the days of Mashiach. That the whole world that exists in a state of balance, and one good deed could tip the scales and bring about the redemption. And specifically all the matters as they're connected with the level of the Yechida, just like the learning and the spreading out of the teachings of Chassidus, Yechida Shabbat Torah, which is the Yechida of the Torah, also connected to all these matters, also the physical matters of the Jew need to be turned and created and become holy. Connected to the very essence, souls and bodies. And specifically as in adding on in the month of Kislev and the days of Hanukkah, which are days of joy, and praise. We have to add on in festive and joyful meals. So Simcha, the Masagula, Yutes Yud Kislev, and we also have to have forbringings for Yud Kislev and Yud Tes Kislev, Yud Gimel, last letter. Hirat Soin, maybe Hashem's will. Hu Ve'ikar. And the main thing is, so the Chilas Chodesh Kislev, as we enter the beginning of the month of Kislev, Chodesh Tegula, the month of redemption. To bring about in actuality and reveal the true and complete redemption. In the beginning of the true and complete redemption through Moshiach, our righteous Redeemer. And one will stand up from the kingdom of the house of David, and he will unite the world to serve one God. That he will transform the world to pure speech. Once again, Hashavua Sha'avor B'tchilas Parshas Hashavua, Parshas Shavua Shah. We see this connected to the Parshas of the week. Shah Mistiyamim Hachreza Yehi Adoni Hamelech David La'olam, as it says in the Haftorah, and Yehi Adoni, that my master Hamelech David, the King David, will live forever. Nitzchis Malchus David. This is referring to the eternal kingship of the house of David, which is drawn down through the kingship of Shloimeh. And we know that Melech HaMashiach will be the completion. He will be from the house of David and the seed of Shloimeh. And this will be revealed, the true essence of the King of Mashiach. And we see this is hinted in this week's Parsha, that these are the offspring of Yitzchak, Shahelida, the Melech HaMashiach, and Toilis is also referring to the birth of King Mashiach, who ba'ofen gilui la'ayin zeh ve'elo ad shekal shema Yitzchak. Yitzchak v'lo oid ele shepal gam al umat ha'olam, chen habiror b'levan, v'hen biror Esav, also referring to the rectification of the nations of the world, just like referring to the rectification of Lavan and Esav. Ad asher avo al Adoni shirah b'yemei HaMashiach, referring specifically to the days of Mashiach, when the nations of the world will also be refined. That says, and that we will all go to the mountain of Tzion, and Hashem will judge the mountain of Esav. And Hashem will rule forever and ever. It should happen immediately. So I just want to sum up very briefly what's going on, if you haven't already hopped. Again, there's multiple depths to these sichos. The Rebbe is explaining this concept. You can read through the lines, if you will, and see that the Rebbe again is giving us what is about to happen. He's preparing us for what was about to take place. And the Rebbe says over here, first of all, you have to understand that when the moon is at its state of completion on the 15th of the month, the reason why we see a full moon is because the moon is the furthest away from us. The moon reflects the light of the sun. It's the furthest away, so we see it the clearest. When we get to the beginning of the month, we don't see the moon because it's the closest to us. If you take your friend, your buddy, your wife, whatever, and you give him a hug like this, you can't see the person. You're united with them. As they step further back, you can start, I see you permed your beard. I see you got a new shirt. You can start seeing the person because they start going further away. So when something is revealed, it's furthest away. The mitzias, the existence of something, is because it's close to you. When things are good in our life, the Alter Rebbe explains in the Tanya, this is a lower level of good. It's a revealed good. It's revealed because we see it, meaning it's far away. The concealed good, when something is quote unquote in a state of darkness, it's a higher good because we don't see it. When we're going through challenges in our life God is holding us like this. But we don't see. It's dark. We're freaking out. It's stressful. That's when God hides us the most. When it's revealed and everything is good, we're singing, dancing, how wonderful. That's because God's the furthest away from us. Now let's take it to another level. We started off the Sikha by talking about that the Jewish people will be renewed like the moon. And the Rebbe said, hold on a second. When the moon is renewed, you don't see it. In fact, the Jewish people reach their state of completion when the moon is revealed. Gilui on the 15th of the month. Just like Shlomo HaMelech reached the state of the culmination of the Jewish people, 15 generations from Abraham, when we were at a state of completion. Shalem, Shalomo, Shalom, it's all together, complete, Shlomo, peace. And then what happened? Things started, the moon was born, so to speak, with Abraham. It reached its state of completion in Shlomo. It waxed, and now it waned. It started going back down again. But the Rebbe explains when Moshiach reveals himself, we will have both realities. We will have Mitzias, essence, concealed, if you will, and revealing together. We'll have the rebirth, the true essence, and that true essence will be revealed. Two complete opposite realities. In fact, our sages teach us that is exactly what's going to happen with Mashiach. It's brought down in the Arizal, it's brought down in the Zohar, it's brought down in the Tanakh. Go pick up an art scroll and pick up a Tanakh and go in the one with the Perushim and go to the book of Daniel and go to the end of the book of Daniel in 12:12 and go to the Rashi over there. This is not Kabbalah, this is not Zohar or the teachings of the Arizal. And Rashi says that the final Redeemer will be just like the first Redeemer. Moshe Rabbeinu, we saw him. He went up on Har Sinai. We didn't see him. He was revealed and he was concealed. And then he became re-revealed. Said the same thing with Mashiach. He will reveal himself. He will go into a state of concealment and then he will re-reveal himself. And the Rebbe just literally handed it to us in this week's Sikha. He's telling us what's happening. We had the Rebbe up to Gimel Tammuz. He was revealed. We saw him. But we were connected to a lower level. People think they knew what was a Rebbe because they saw the Rebbe. You see the Rebbe in 770. This is one of these. You're filled with, wow, you're flying. It gives you brachas. Amazing, amazing. That's not that. That's not even a touching a drop of the Rebbe. It's what was revealed to our eyes. A lower level. The Rebbe went into concealment. We don't see. Why don't we see? Because he's holding us like this. It's no longer the Rebbe over there giving us power. The Rebbe is with us. He's in us. He's together with us. The essence of the Rebbe is existence in right now. Go to 770 now during Tishrei. You have 770 packed with thousands of people screaming, Yechi Adonai, going crazy for the Rebbe, Hikale, Rebbe. They've never seen the Rebbe, including me. We've never laid our eyes on the Rebbe physically. How can it be people connected on such a level to the Rebbe when you don't see him? Because this is the essence. It's above. But what is the ultimate culmination? The fusion of both of them. We had revealing up to Gimel Tammuz. We had concealment from Gimel Tammuz up to now. And then ultimately, what is the next stage? The Rebbe said that Melech HaMashiach Mitzias Yizgalu. His essence will be revealed. Both of these realities will be revealed. This is what's happening next. This is what's happening now. This is what we're living right now. It's the same thing with the Beis HaMikdash. We had the first temple, the second temple, and then the third temple is fusing them all together. This is the essence. This is what the Rebbe is telling us in the Sikha. He's saying, I'm with you. Don't worry. Don't worry. You don't see me, but I'm with you more than ever. I'm concealed for a reason. Because when you see me, you're not tapping into your essence. You know how many shluchim I used to say, they say, we missed the days. We would bring McCartney, we'd bring Balabatim to the Rebbe, they'd go by the dollar line. We would say, Rebbe, this is Ploni Baploni. He wants to give us $5 million to build our Beit Chabad house. What do you say? The Rebbe says, Bracha, Hatzlacha, Hashem will bless you. He gives him one of these. The guy comes back, he's shining. He does tshuva overnight, boom, just from seeing the Rebbe. Now we've got to work. The Rebbe on Koach Nisan in 1991 said, I did my work. I'm still with you, but I'm hiding now because I want you to do the work. I want you to reveal Moshiach. I'm giving the power to you. And that's the state we're in now. And we're moments away from the full Hisgalus, when everything will become connected. The concealment and the revealment will be one. Metzias and Gilui, essence and revelation. God should bless all of us to pull out the essence of our souls, the very essence that we should all come to a state of Mashiach consciousness and realize that we're truly one with Hashem, and the Rebbe should reveal himself and take us out of this golus now, and we should literally, before the words come out of my mouth, be in the Beis Hamikdash Shlishi, and for bringing with the Rebbe, and David HaMelech, and all the Rebbeim, and all the Tzaddikim, and all the Avos, and Moshe Rabbeinu, should happen right now. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed Shabbat. Mashiach now. I will see you in the Beis Hamikdash. God bless you.